There's a natural balance to the world. And whether we like it or not, I think it restores itself. You know, how you can't control other people, but you can control yourself. Just like how you can't control certain situations, but you can control how you respond to them. When we respond to situations, say we're not very happy with the outcome, we respond to them in one of two ways, either with stability and understanding, or instability and chaos. And I think the balance gets restored in that situation. There's a few different things I'm going to talk about. The balance gets restored in the conclusion based off of your reaction. We have, if something happens you don't like and you respond with instability and chaos, then the balance is restored in the conclusion of your chaos. Kind of like if you try to force something it's a lot harder to actually make happen, but then once you just accept it, it seems to just fit in perfectly fine. But if we respond to the thing that we're not happy about, if we respond to it with understanding and stability of just accepting the outcome and being unaffected by it, then the outcome of, or the conclusion of your action of stability, you create a you create a positive effect, because it just is. You're unaffected by it. And when you accept that you can only control yourself and the way you react to things, then you start to create those positive scenarios. No matter how good or bad the thing is, it still becomes a positive thing. It was either for you or it wasn't. So say you're trying to get a house and you're trying your best and you're trying to force it, and you put in an offer and somebody else puts in a better offer, and then you counter that offer with even more money, more than you were comfortable with paying, but you want that house so bad that you're willing to give up and take on that stress. Well, the balance is restored through your struggle in and potentially losing the house. That is the balance, right? That now you're struggling financially and you may lose the house because you tried to force it. It's not an easier thing. So the balance of that is, because it wasn't for you initially and you tried to force it, it became unstable, and you're now taking on all that stress and living in an unstable situation. But because it wasn't for you, but because you tried to force it, then the balance had to be restored. And you can look at it in a few different ways, like the influence that you have on the situation. That had you just accepted it and been unaffected by the fact that you can no longer achieve that thing that you wanted, the balance is also restored, because now you're not in a situation where you're in this dance with something that wasn't for you in the first place. And one second. I'm not sure what I was saying before I paused, and I had to cough for a second. But um, the balance restores itself in the ways of, like, you stay up too late, you spend too much money, or you try to capture the attention of someone, or they're trying to capture your attention. You stay up too late, and now you have a sleep deficit, and you feel bad because of it. You don't feel well. So now you have to restore that balance to get back to feeling well, of sleeping. Or if you spend too much money, then you now have to go without, or potentially even your basic needs aren't being met because of the lack of stability and the way that you impulsively reacted to the things that you wanted to spend that money on, even knowing good and well that it was not an okay thing. And for capturing someone's attention, or them trying to capture your attention, when, let's say there's a friend that is always wanting to hang out, they're always, let's get together, let's get together, let's get together. You know what to expect from them, and they're, because of that, their availability, you kind of push them away because you don't want to be around them that much, because you know exactly what to expect from them. Or say it's a man and a woman, and he's always trying to impress her. His actions become unimpressive because he's always trying to do that. And the balance for that, the way it corrects itself, is that person isn't impressed, and the distance begins to be created because they have you, or you have them. And that, I think that at least is just human nature. That you're kind of like the brain, where we only appreciate things that we had to work for. Many of us are gifted with this fantastic tool, and it's the human brain. But we were gifted that. We didn't have to work for it. You were just given it. And we don't really appreciate things that we're just given. So you take it for granted. You don't really value the gift that you have because it was just given to you. And I think that is one of the biggest atrocities that someone could commit, is not utilizing their full potential, their brain, their abilities and talents. And when they don't utilize those tools, those gifts, that you end up like lacking a sense of self, or a real motivating dynamic, because you're not, you know that there is something more below the surface, right? You've talked about purpose, and how you don't need motivation because of purpose, that it creates the discipline just by being. Like how you don't need motivation to go to work. You go to work even when you don't want to, because there's a reason to go. That we end up lacking a sense of self when we end up lacking that real feeling of fulfillment and purpose when we don't utilize our brain and our talents. but we don't utilize them or value them because we don't initially think that they're valuable because they were bestowed upon you. And I think that not exploring the things that you are good at, or me not exploring the things that I'm good at, or that truly bring me a real sense of fulfillment, that you feel like you're selling yourself short. And that's the same thing that's happening with the house. If you put yourself in a situation to purchase that home and you truly can't afford it, you actually end up selling yourself and your potential short. It's the cost benefit analysis, or I think that's what it's called, the opportunity cost, where you had all of this potential and the world was showing you that this isn't for you. The way things happened, it revealed to you this isn't for you. But you tried to force it. So the opportunity cost of forcing the purchase of that home is giving up your autonomy, your freedom, and your financial well-being because you forced it and overpaid for something that you truly shouldn't have had in the first place. And it comes down to like an accepting of the reality around you and just understanding that things are going to end up exactly the way they're supposed to be. That as long as you're showing up and making the best out of every situation, reading the signals, having discernment and like being able to truly understand like what is happening, and truly, I guess it is just accepting what is going on and responding with stability and not being the unstable, chaotic individual, not throwing a temper tantrum about, oh, this thing didn't happen for me that I wanted to happen. And so you just accept it, or you throw a fit and put yourself in a situation to where now, instead of you just letting the balance occur naturally, there has to be something that happens that restores the balance. And in the case of the home, the thing that has to happen is you now give up all of the time that you would have had you just stayed you stayed within your means, because you overpaid and you're not really in the place to be able to pay that kind of money, but you wanted it so bad that you gave up yourself to get the thing. I think that happens a lot in relationships too, where people give up themselves to get the thing, and then they lose the purpose. They literally lose themselves because they're so enthralled in having the attention of this person. And because they were trying to force it, the opportunity cost is not truly being with someone that actually appreciates you for who you are, not being in a position where you can actually build and be appreciated for what you bring to the table, your unique talents, and what you have to offer as a person. And because you were trying to force that relationship, that you give up yourself just for something that's not going to work out in the end. Because whenever you do that, that person knows they have you. They see that. And it's actually, what is it, whenever you're not benevolent? It's very, that person not letting you give up themselves, if that person accepts you and lets you give up yourself and use you, it's insanely manipulative on their part. And I think actually rejecting that person is the kind thing to do, because whenever you don't reject that person and you use them, then it's like you're being greedy and taking themselves from them, because you see that they're giving themselves up. And so by them rejecting you, they're actually saving you, because if they let you go on with giving yourself up to capture their attention, then they don't realize it. A lot of people, I don't think people even think about stuff like this, but they don't realize it, but they're helping you not give up yourself to capture their attention. Yeah, I think that's right. They're being very, I'm not sure what it is. There's a word, and it'll come to me at a later point, but it doesn't matter. But the balance, right? That's what we're talking about, is balance. The balance restores itself whether you like it or not. And it's just a matter of who you are in that equation of how it restores itself. Are you the person that has to go through all of the pain and anguish that comes with the universe now having to restore itself because you couldn't just accept it? Or are you the person that gets the opportunity benefit instead of the cost of just letting it be and accepting it for how it was? Acceptance is a good thing. It's very good. It's very good. If you can be okay with understanding that things will be exactly how they're supposed to be, and being stable within that, and not trying to force outcomes. It's one thing to be working towards something. It's something completely different to try to force something that's not for you. But that's where the discernment comes in, where you can actually see in this situation am I in the position I'm supposed to be in, or am I trying to force an outcome that shouldn't exist in the first place? But I think I got my point across. I like this one. I like this conversation. The balance will restore itself whether you like it or not. It just depends on where you end up in the restoration process. Are you going to be the subject of turmoil, or are you going to be the benefactor of the conclusion? And the only way to not end up as the subject of turmoil is to just accept things the way they are, and understand that things will always be the way that they're supposed to be, to never force anything, but continue working towards a true, a noble end. Because that's what we all really want, right? Is to have a noble purpose in life. And whenever you can pursue a noble end goal, or whenever you can fulfill a noble purpose, then not only do you benefit from the purpose, but you feel good about it too. It's very fulfilling. That's a good thing. But I don't think whenever you're forcing something that shouldn't be, and sometimes people know that, like, intuitively, that thing shouldn't be, but you're so infatuated with the end goal that you say, oh, I have to have this. And then you become the subject of turmoil because you think you have to have it. Yeah, exactly. All right, boys, girls. Hope y'all have a good rest of the night. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. You know, we're just talking shit, man. We're just talking shit. But I will talk to you again soon. Probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. We'll see what happens. We had a nice long weekend this weekend. I've been dealing with an injury on the back side of this part right here, below my shoulder blade, and it was almost healed, and then I fucked it up again. But it's getting better. We got to take it slow, you know. And that's the balance restoring itself. That I got injured because I was going too hard. You know what I mean? But that's just the way it is. So the world made me take a break, and I thought I could keep pushing myself, and the injury happened. I didn't listen to my body, I didn't listen to the world, and I was the subject of turmoil. But now we listen, we pray for discernment and guidance. That's the only thing we can truly ask for, is discernment and guidance. Everything else will fall into place. As long as you're in the pursuit of a noble end, I think you're in a good spot. But without that nobility, it's just self-indulgent pleasure. So let's recognize, are you in the pursuit of self-indulgent pleasure, or are you in pursuit of a noble purpose? Hope y'all have a good rest of the night. We'll catch you again soon. Remember, no excuses, only results, motherfucker. Y'all take care.